Hey, this is JP Hesser from Castaway 7 Studios in Ventura, California. I got Keith in, Tsunami V-15, brought it up, and we ran some bass guitar today through it. We did a little guitar work, even the Rhoads, and I'd like to just go through a couple bits and pieces. I think we're going to be cutting in some video of us working on the tracks today at some point in time, but just wanted to go over the functionality that I picked up on right away today. This is my second trip with Keith on this unit. We started, what, 2.5, 3 years ago? Yeah, a couple years ago. We had the early prototype up, and it's come a long way since that initial push, but the idea is still the same thing, is the wanting to create the nuts and bolts and the mechanics of what the classic bass amplifier is, and this is just taking it to the next level. From a user standpoint, we started with bass today, and we were running our bass. We had 3 different bass guitars, and I believe it was
It was a Sadowski, 2 Sadowskis and a Fender.
Sadowski and Fender, yeah. And so, yeah, we did the Sadowskis, and with active pickup and passive pickup. I think we tried both in that setup. And between the bass tone on one of the tracks that we're going to play you today, we have all 3 bass guitars playing through. I believe we used the Avitus MD7 500 series preamp from Avitus Audio, and Killer Pre sounded great right out of the box. We had started on another preamp for a different track, which is the track that I was working on that we dropped some bass into that was really cool. We were on the Brent Averill 312B, and we used that for 3 takes with the same 3 basses, same settings on these, and then we snapped over to a different track and we went to Avitus Pre, and it was quite humbling how that felt. It was great. So he makes great stuff, and I have yet to use that on bass guitar, and I was really stoked just to like throw it into the chain today. We were taking the level out of that, going into the XLR, using this as the hub, and then running into that as the preamp. To be honest, I think that anything you put this into, line level or preamp wise, is going to be dynamite. It's really nice being able to just fool around with some trebles and bass. We have all kinds of questions came up today regarding the tube structure and what's going on with different tubes, and how adjusting some of the volume inputs for the certain 2 different channel unit, same channel unit, but 2 different circuits. One 12AX7, the other one is the 6SL7, which I believe is the 60s one. The creamier one is top channel, bottom channel is the 70s version. That's what Keith was bringing up. So couple of the really cool features that we stumbled on today was just dialing our treble and bass just with the two knob, treble bass setup, and being able to bring in an amount of that. If we kept one, let's just say we started with the 60s tone, we liked it 3/4 of the way or just slightly less, and we just did a flat setup with that, but we wanted to add some interesting color, feel, something weird to the mix. Take all of the treble out of the bottom channel, and goose up the bass, the bottom end, and then just use a nip of that 12AX7 channel into that. It's just we laughed earlier because we have 10 choices with do the math, thousands of choices between a couple of the high-low switches, and then just being able to use the rotary controls like you'd have on the amplifier. But what's cool with this is being able to run run unique levels, custom contours of everything that's going on, and combining all of that into one output, making it super easy to just set it right up the middle, turn it on, hit it, be stoked, decide you don't want any of this guy, you want more of this guy, or vice versa. Being able to play around with that in terms of tone world, you can get what makes this a really cool classic feel is that you can get to it right away, or you can go bananas on it if you want. I mean, we spent probably a good 30-45 minutes today with our bass guy before we really even took anything, just playing around with the options, you know, which was really fun just to mess around with that. And we'll put one in the studio when the time's right. I know they're working on the production right now, so we'll get in on that list. And we've been a fan of, you know, other bass preamps, bass units in the past, and you know, they do their thing, and this does a very unique thing in its own. This isn't like anything else that we have in our arsenal, which is really cool because we can pair it with, you know, 1272 pre's, BAE 312s, Vetus MA5s, Vetus MD7s, the 312A, which is just got more juice than the 312B, and just in the preamp world of being able to combine this with anything that you're working with, you can really, you know, you can take off on tone real quick. We discussed just a little bit ago how killer this would be if you could, you know, if you had like a power setup where you got a really nice power amp and a great single 10 speaker for recording or whatever, you know, you wanted to use just in the studio world, in my world, would be, you know, having a real clean power setup with single speaker and, you know, whatever, 100 watts or whatever you need in power world, and then putting this thing in front of it and just hearing like what it's doing right away and how it's relating to, you know, tube preamp tone. In the bass world, it's pretty cool. We've been picking apart the switches a little bit, figuring out like what's going on there in terms of the boosts and the cuts, and you know, all really functional. I know that we're gonna work on that. He's mentioned that he's gonna bring that some more information back on what's happening here. We've some scoops happening and some bumps happening, and I think we're gonna like try to pick out like what exactly is going on with that. In my head, what I was hearing, you know, is energy being moved around in different parts of the spectrum on the bass.